Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin String coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner. And I am bringing up the stream on my tablet so that I can see the chat. So this is meal 2 from this French RCIR menu 5, packed in 2022. These usually have a 3-year listed shelf life. And so what I've chosen, as I said last week, I said I would actually refrigerate this oriental salad. So I just took that out of the fridge along with my water bottle. And here is the vegetable soup mix. I will be preparing that. And here is the salmon pate. A combat fuel bar, got the mocha. And then the chocolate bar. We've got the biscuits here, the ones that were left. Because there's only one cold drink, I decided to go with this orange mango drink for the drinking jar from my stash. And because there was only the one spread, I decided to go with the chocolate peanut spread for the biscuits. And I'm just actually going to drop that right into the biscuit box. Or just lay it on top. And I have decided to go ahead and prepare the muesli, so I brought out an extra bowl for that. And I have a bowl for the soup. I haven't decided as far as a drink whether I'm going to have this black tea with the sugar or the cocoa mix. I've had this tea before, so I might actually exchange that for the cocoa mix. I figured I would make that decision on the fly. I usually don't do the breakfast things, but in this case, I've decided I'm going to do that. I'm going to move the entree aside while I mix up the drink. This was made in Auckland, New Zealand, so it was either from a New Zealand ration or an Australian ration. kind of a mix of colors in that powder. So Survival Empire, thanks for dropping in. This has very little color at all. Because it is a sugar-based drink, I choose to mix it first. It will have a slight orange color. It seemed to have mixed up pretty well. So for the soup, I will be using the salted biscuits. So I'm just going to put those right there. And I have the chocolate chip ones here. I have one pack of the, what they call the cereal biscuits left in here. Go ahead and get rid of this box. This ration box took a serious beating. Spicy tuna rolls is slid on in. The French is crème de champion. I'm not sure what the exact translation is. But it does seem to be some kind of a vegetable soup. It almost has a beef onion bouillon flavor. It's a very fine powder. And I will go ahead and put the cocoa mix into my Germs Emery Ration Kitty mug. Now that I have a few different mugs, I'm just going to rotate between them. A very fine dark chocolate powder. So these are not as sweet as American cocoa mixes. This says up to 100 mils of water, but being that it is a muesli, a breakfast item, people like theirs at different consistencies. Well, that didn't tear very well. I'll just go at it from the other side. Or I can just spread it apart. But I'm going to go ahead and do it in the bowl. So there's oats, there's rice, there's chocolate chips, there's flax seeds, and this says to wait 1 minute after mixing. So what I may do, I may actually do that last. And that one will have to be kind of off to the side because I will be putting my oriental salad here. And plus this here, thanks for dropping in. So I'm going to get my kettle and I'll be right back. I've got plenty of water in the kettle. So I have the burner on underneath it so I can keep that water hot. You can do the mueslis either hot or cold, but I figured since I have the kettle on, I'm going to do it hot because I want to melt the chocolate chips. These French soups, especially this Neff brand, are notorious for getting thick as it stands. It is looking like a mushroom soup. I'm going to slide that over there. These French rations used to come with a little tiny spork, no longer than these energy bars. In fact, it might even be shorter than that. They used to come in the stove kit. And that would be utterly useless trying to eat out of something like this, or to mix your drinks. So a lot of European soldiers, if they didn't have utensils in their rations, they would have a mess kit that they were either issued or that they would acquire on their own. I happen to have a Polish utensil set that is very similar to German ones, and maybe similar to Russian ones. I'm needing my chocolate peanut spread. But since I am of Polish descent, I have decided to pick up a few pieces of Polish military surplus. So I have a Polish mess kit, which is similar in style to German and Russian. Slightly different shape. It's not the elongated oval like the Swedish mess kit. I have the mess stove for that you'd put a Trangia burner in. I'm going to go ahead and open up my salmon pate. Very orange. I put the lid from that can in the muesli bag, which I'm going to then stick in a biscuit box. So there is the salmon pate. I took a look at the lid and it tastes very good. So these are my salted biscuits for the soup. I'm going to go ahead and open up these bars. That the mocha bar broke. It's the same texture as the banana one, just a lot darker in color. This is a 72% cacao bar, which makes me very happy because I really love dark chocolate. got a tiny bit of bloom on it, but it doesn't look too bad. Here's my crusher in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Some of these got a little broken, but like that pear has one that's broken. But that's what happens with these. They get bounced around the world. And now, before I bring up the oriental salad, I'm going to go ahead and bring the kettle back and mix up the muesli. See, the water is already turning into the color of chocolate milk. I'm going to set that off to the side. I'm actually going to give... Now this soup has seriously thickened up. So since I have my kettle here, I'll put a little more water in it, that should do. This definitely looks a little different than the picture on the can, on the lid. I stuffed the lid for this can into a biscuit box. Because this can did get dented, I didn't want to take the risk of heating it. And I would normally heat up something like this. I just didn't want to take the risk of the can possibly exploding in the pot. It almost looks like it might be some kind of fish in here. But then again, it could be chicken. There are beans, there's like bell pepper, maybe tomato. I'm not sure if that was tomato or bell pepper. It looks like lentils. Maybe a couple of different kinds of beans. Could be a chickpea. There's a good look at a piece of the meat. I think that is chicken. It does not taste like tuna, and it's definitely not salmon. So I would have normally heated this up. So apparently something like this is common to eat either cold or room temperature. There's a better look at the meat without as much of the sauce on it. But the flavor, it's subtle. It's not loaded with teriyaki or soy sauce or anything like that. But the lentils still have some texture to them. I'm going to try one of these beans. The bigger beans are not quite as firm as the meat, but they're not complete mush either. Like a white navy bean, or maybe a white kidney bean, or one of those, or great northern bean, or one of those other white beans, or a European equivalent. But the lentils still have a bit of texture to them. I just took a lentil off. That might be mushroom. Yep, mushroom. I'm liking this. But I think I would enjoy it more hot. I'm going to take a drink of this orange mango. And this came from Auckland, New Zealand. These French rations only have one drink powder besides the hot drink options. So maybe French soldiers usually prefer hot drinks all the time, regardless of time of year. Or they tend to drink a lot of water. I'm going to take a taste of the soup by itself. Yeah, that's still holding the thickness that I want. So I am going to open up both packs of the salty biscuits. I had one of these last week, or one pack of these. Usually get for the 24-hour rations, you usually get 3 packs of the salty biscuits, 3 packs of the chocolate chip or the chocolate, and 2 packs of these cereal biscuits. But I'm keeping these to the side. I might use them with the pate, I don't know. But this is a very smooth pate, a little bit of texture to it. There's definitely some seasonings in there to give it a more savory, tangy note. But the salmon flavor is definitely there. It is something I have never seen here in the US. And well, speaking of the muesli, here it is. The chocolate chips have partially melted. This is about the consistency I like it. Some people like it a little bit runnier, some people like it even thicker. Dark chocolate chips. It's not too sweet. The flax seeds are caramelized. A nice big oat pieces. I would be happy to have that in the morning. I'm breaking up the biscuits that were already broken. I still have 2 whole ones left. I might use one of these for the pate as well. They instantly start to break down once they hit the soup. And it almost turns to powder in my mouth. There is a Cold War prepper in the house. And this ration had a best buy date of January 7 of last year. So it's about 5 months past the best buy date. And this box took a serious beating. Just to keep it together, I had put tape on it just so I can keep all the stuff inside until tonight. And this says, this is one how the ones that were either certified halal or marked as without pork, they used to use a green stamp, and then a couple of years ago they changed to putting that designation over here along with this information, and it would be the same black writing to match the rest of the text on the box. Now, these ink stamps, sometimes they would not produce a good quality stamp. There wouldn't be enough ink, or be a little dry, or it'd fade. So by printing it on with the rest of the text, then it would be more, it would last longer, and you wouldn't have to worry about losing that information for those that want one that is either certified halal. And I did have a certified halal RCIR once, or the ones that are designated as without pork. That would be given to any soldier who is either Jewish or Muslim, or for whatever reason they do not eat pork. And this is labeled oriental salad with chicken, beans, lentils, and some mushrooms, and I think that's bell pepper. Yeah, the bell pepper. But there may be a bit of tomato in there. I'm not good with French. I only took French for 1 year, and that was back in my senior year of high school at a junior high school. That's where some call it a middle school. So that was first year French, and doing that after taking a couple of years of Spanish, and then in college I went back to Spanish. And I actually put this in my fridge this afternoon because I wanted to see what that would be like, eating one of these French cold dishes, literally cold. Maybe this would have been the lunch. They didn't take the time to heat it, even though they would heat water for the soup. Or maybe their second coffee or one of the teas. I'm not too knowledgeable on what would be legit Asian food, even though I like it. I just don't know a huge amount about it. I just know I like it. I went ahead and opened up that, but I'm going to take a taste of one of these by itself. There is a bit more sweetness than in the cereal biscuits, and you do definitely taste the chocolate chip. And it has a little bit better flavor as far as the biscuit itself. Get no second spread in this. So I figured, you know what better to put on these chocolate chip biscuits than the chocolate peanut spread. And that definitely works on those. Now these have completely gotten soft. Since I hit them, they break. But I like these, you know, the salty biscuits that I ate last week. They tasted like they're a bit old. But I'm not getting any of that mixed with the soup. Of course, this has thickened the soup up a bit. But that soup is not bad. I like it. I can pick up the pate with the biscuit, but I'm being kind of delicate about it. Yeah, it's not the smoothest pate, but it still works. And the salty ones are definitely the right way to go with this pate. And I have my other two cereal biscuits just off to the side. But I gotta keep going back to this. The stove kit comes with 6 fuel taps, so that would be plenty for heating up water for your drinks, the soup, and the muesli, and both of these 300-gram entrees. And when you would heat the water for your soup and your hot drink, or your hot drink and your muesli at the same time, you just pour out what you need in each. I have stashed those fuel tabs and everything else that I'm not using. They are now part of my emergency stash. So since I decided not to have the tea and that other pack of sugar, they will go into my stash later. I wish we could get this pate here. Yeah, the flavor's not too strong. It's got a bit of a tang to it, but I like that. I'll definitely eat this again. There are a few types of French rations I haven't been able to get a hold of. I think I had the exercise ration, that's a single meal. And then there's another single meal ration, and I think they do have a cold climate type ration. Or Steve 1989 had a prototype of a French version of the First Strike, which had some very unique components and very unique packaging. I don't know if those ever went into production after the testing. I have never seen one of those online again. Oh, this salmon pate it is really, really good. The print on this thing is pretty small. There are a lot of ingredients for flavorings, but I have no idea what they mean, and have a hard time getting Google Translate to work, so I don't even bother with it. But you know, when it comes to French rations, they know how to do it. You can't go wrong with something like that. And French soldiers eat good. It's kind of like a mushroom onion soup with other vegetable flavors. It's thickened up a little bit, but it's not overly thick even after putting the crackers in there. But I like that soup. No way you would find anything like that here unless you happen to have access to a store that sells imported foods like that. Oh wow. I had a feeling that they would have a cold climate type ration that would most likely be freeze dried. That would be very interesting to check out. I put some of the chocolate peanut spread in between two of these to make a little sandwich out of them. Just for the heck of it. This is that mocha energy bar. And this one broke, but there is a good look at the inside of it. The flavor is very, very, very subtle. It's hard to pick up. The coffee and the chocolate flavor. There's almost no chocolate flavor. Of course, I had a sip of the cocoa before I took a bite of that. Take a drink of my very lightly flavored orange mango. I can barely pick up the cocoa flavor, a tiny bit of the coffee flavor, but that's not very much of that. But other than that, that bar's not bad. It needs a little bit more flavor like the muesli as far as the chocolate goes. If you think of mocha as chocolate and coffee, but there's very little of that, so that bar kind of misses. But I still won't have any issues finishing that off. I would definitely recommend this menu. The U.S. ration packers need to step up their game and start producing stuff like this. Not as much preservative, artificial flavors, or colors. Nothing like what our military has to do. Yeah, last night at Smokey's stream, he was talking about trying to get a case of the CIRs, a close combat assault ration, which is the replacement for the first strike. I intend on getting one or two of those. I wouldn't necessarily buy a whole case because apparently last I heard there are only 3 menus. So whoever puts together those rations need to increase the menu variety, because if you had to live on those for several days at a time, you get tired of eating the same thing. Whereas the first strike, you had a larger number of menus. but I'm still interested in trying a couple of those. Should get a first strike ration and a CCAR and then do a side-by-side comparison. I think that's been done, but I want to do it. I think it's neat to do things like that. And speaking of comparisons, I'm still hoping to get a hold of a Canadian cornbread because I want to do a direct comparison between the U.S. Emery cornbread and IMP cornbread. I had one of those once, the Canadian version, but that one was a bit doughy. I'm hoping that was just a one-off and that they're not all like that. That's why I have been sitting on my Emery cornbread. And I'm still hoping to get a hold of a foreign ration that has a goulash so I can compare that to the American goulash. I tried that once, but the Polish ration that I got ended up having bigos or hunter stew as its main entree, and a can about the size of this labeled English goulash, but it was a luncheon meat. It was a beef luncheon meat, kind of like Spam. And I wouldn't consider that a goulash. But nevertheless, that bigos was still very good. Which I think what this bar might need is a little bit of a chocolate peanut spread. That's pretty good on that little bar. I actually get some chocolate flavor out of it. Gonna have another bite of the soup. The crackers are really disintegrating. But I don't mind. I like them in the soup, so that's why they're in there. There are very few soups that I would not put crackers in, or any kind of a biscuit, and that would be Asian soups. I would not put them in pho or egg drop soup or a miso or anything like that. The Asian soups just have so much other stuff going for them that they really wouldn't need a cracker. Now the chow mein noodles, yeah, I might put a few of those in some of those, or wonton chips. I might put a few of those, but that would be as far as I would go. Prepper for the ages is here. Thanks for dropping in. It looks like I got a lot going on here, and I do. I have the French cocoa. It's not a sweet cocoa like the American style. So it's a dark. There's only one spread, so I got a chocolate peanut spread that I have on the chocolate chip biscuits, and that totally works. Only one cold drink mix, so I have an orange mango, which came from either an Australian or New Zealand ration. It was made in Auckland, New Zealand. And this soup is kind of like a mushroom onion. Kind of like a bouillon type. And I put some of the salty crackers in it. This is salmon pate, which is really, really awesome. And this is that oriental salad, which I put in my fridge for several hours and then brought it out as I was setting up. The can was pretty banged up on the one end. Fortunately, it didn't bust. But I didn't want to try heating this up. So I decided I'm just going to go ahead and refrigerate it and literally have a cold. Nice big chunks of chicken. The flavors are not too strong. There's a couple of different beans. There's lentils, there's red bell pepper, there's onion. But this stuff is pretty darn good. If I get another can of this, and it's not so banged up, I would heat it up. And this is a 72% cacao chocolate bar. Really good snap. Little bloom on the outside, but nice and dark on the inside. That is still a very good chocolate bar. I love dark chocolate, and that one makes me happy. And then this little bar, it was labeled as mocha, So I expected to get a real mocha flavor, a decent amount of coffee flavor, decent amount of cocoa flavor, but not a whole lot of that. So I put a bit of the chocolate peanut spread on there, and that definitely helped. This time, dipping it in the cocoa does kind of heighten that flavor. Doesn't bring out much of the coffee flavor, but it's still a good bar. And over here is the chocolate muesli with caramelized flax seeds. I usually don't prepare the breakfast items, but I decided to go ahead and do it this time. Because I've never tried the chocolate with the flax. And it's a dark chocolate, which again makes me happy. So this one is made me happy for the most part. The salmon pate, we need to be able to get this here. It's a bit grainy or a coarser texture. Not quite as smooth as most other pates, but the flavor is pretty darn awesome to me. It's very hard to top French rations. Of course, nowadays, getting foreign rations into the U.S. is a gamble. You never know whether it's going to make it to you intact or if it's going to get messed with. And you only get part of it, or you don't get anything at all. I do miss those days of being able to go to a seller's site and literally have your pick of all kinds of stuff. So I only look for foreign rations that are already in the U.S. But I have that Ukrainian ration that I got off of a guy on Facebook. In fact, he sent two of the same menu, and one of them is going to get packed up and sent out of here. And I got something coming to me in a trade. When I first got those rations along with the German EPA, the one Ukrainian ration had tape on it, so I'm assuming the side of the bag got punctured. So the seller taped it up just to make sure that it didn't get any further damage. So I opened that one up to show the contents in the mail call video, and then in the ration group on Facebook I laid them all out. And then because the German box could easily be opened, I did the same thing in that post. I laid them all out. But I will be getting into one of those probably, yeah, I'm not sure when I'll do that, but the German ration has wet pack entrees, as does the Ukrainian one. But I will keep the bag that I cut open, and I'm sending off the fully intact bag. And that's a big size bag. But I'm going to be tossing in a few other items just to kind of fill out the mailer. I usually, if I'm not trading with someone in the ration community, you know, other YouTubers or on Facebook, I do look on eBay. And I look at the listing just to make sure that the seller is US based and that the item is already in the country, so I don't have to worry about tariffs or customs or any of that nonsense. So it has been well over a year, maybe a year and a half, since I tried to get a foreign ration in. Fortunately, that one did make it intact. But several times going through one site that I would never buy from again, because they do not do squat if the package gets raided. I won't even buy US stuff from them anymore. And I'm not even going to mention their name. couple other sites I've tried went belly up. There's a site called All MREs, which is mostly US stuff. I will buy from that site. I just don't do it very often. But I would trust that one more than the one that I will not do business with anymore. Well, that's okay, Tim. You're still here. To me, you're late if you're catching the replay. I got the muesli off to the side because I don't have enough room on this little table. But my drink that I dug out of my stash is a New Zealand made orange mango, because these French rations only come with one drink powder. And I got the French cocoa in my Germs Emery ration kitty mug. Only one spread, so I have chocolate peanut spread for my chocolate chip crackers. Yeah, I will not mess with them anymore. I'm still getting their emails, but I don't look at them. Like I said, I won't buy US stuff from them anymore. Not that I'm afraid it won't get here, but there's just not a lot that I would be interested in. I'd rather go elsewhere. I'm seeing ads here on YouTube for Emery's World. And on Facebook, I'm seeing ads for Ammo Can Man, who sells US rations. Yeah, I would definitely not, especially if you're looking for foreign rations, I would not trust them at all, because if your package gets raided, they don't care. I sent pictures. In the emails. Including the notice from the thieves. That's how I refer to those guys. They would not even acknowledge that my emails were received, let alone respond to them. And several years ago, when all this package rating first started, I decided to try an experiment, and a Lithuanian seller had a halal MRE, US MRE. This is obviously way before tariffs. So I ordered it. I was curious if it would get messed with since it was being shipped in from out of the country, or if it was going to be left alone. And the package got left alone. Not even any kind of an inspection notice. I was actually surprised. Well, French rations are my favorite. Last week, I had the beef tortellini, and the beef tortellinis are so much better than the US tortellinis. Of course, the French one had beef inside it, as well as beef in the sauce, and the US one is cheese only and no meat in the sauce. But the tortellinis are bigger. The sauce had much better flavor. I wish they had two of those. I've had a few other good French rations. A common entree knows is the tuna salad, which I have always heated up. I've never eaten one of those cold, but every entree that I've had out of a French ration has been really, really good. My favorite is the ostrich with cranberries. I had never had ostrich meat before, but it was really, really, really good. And the cranberries were the perfect thing to put in with it. Over the years, the French ration packer has changed brands of their some of their items, like SRD and MX3 is what's MX3, especially for like the muesli and the teas. Although these say this is instant tea, but it's actually a tea bag. And this one is not really branded. It says T-Took products, and that's the same as on some of the other packaging. But with things like these entrees, a 5-star chef has to be behind them. I don't think I've had that particular pate, but it does sound good. I've had another tuna pate, but I think this salmon one is definitely better than that other tuna pate I had. Of course, it's been a few years. I mean, they're very picky about their ingredients for a lot of these. Now these Neff soups, I've used that brand for as far as I know. They got some interesting flavors, and all of them are pretty good. They do have a tendency to thicken up, so I add a little additional water to thin it back out. Of course, then I put the crackers in it. But these are very light in flavor. But they're good soups. And this 72% cacao chocolate bar, when I first saw that, oh yeah, I'm excited. Maybe the next French ration I get will have that pickled tuna pate, because now that one's got me interested. I just wish the French ration packer would put at least one more drink powder in there, and maybe one more spread. But that oriental salad, the chicken, is pretty darn good. Now that I've finished that off, I can put my soup bowl here, and I can have my muesli in view. Well, thanks for dropping in, Mike. So that's why I have chocolate peanut spread to put on the chocolate chip biscuits. And I made a sandwich out of a couple of them. I do like the extra little touches that you get with French rations. You get a matchbook style sleeve of toothpicks. You get 6 of those. You get 6 water purification tablets. You get a trash bag, a little black trash bag, probably about the size of it'll be about the size of my Walgreens bag minus the handle. You get the stove, the folding stove plate, the fuel tabs, a little can lifter, and a box of matches with the Eiffel Tower on one side of the box and Arc de Triomphe on the other side. So all of those have been added to my stash. That way, if I do need to use those in the future, I can. Or I could barter those items. I have literally maxed out a 50 cal ammo can full of those folding stove plates, fuel tabs, and all but one box of matches, plus some match packs that I got from British and Russian rations. But even I got some of those elsewhere besides in that ammo can. So I could put some of those in kits. And I've saved all of the ration heater bags that I have acquired. I got several Ziploc bags full of those. And the ones that come with the water packs, I take those water packs out and they are in a hard container. They're in a Ziploc bag. But then that is put in a hard container. Just to make sure that they don't get punctured. Wow, that's a lot less than what I've seen elsewhere for the halal MREs. I'm curious what their pack year was, because I would love to try some more recent ones. I don't think I've had any fresher than, I think, 21 or 22. But I would love to get some newer ones. Yeah. XMRE at one time had halal MREs and kosher certified ones, but apparently those are no longer available. I don't know if they stopped producing those because they were not selling enough. I've never tried any of the kosher ones. I've tried a few of the halal ones in the past. Only kosher certified rations I've ever had were the My Own Meals, which got replaced by La Briute. And the La Briute ones have some different entrees than My Own Meals, and the side items are better quality. But like the My Own Meals, you get a case of those, all of the accessory packs that have all of the side items, everything is identical. You don't get anything different in any of those. Oh wow, that's pretty darn good. Is that one on eBay? Yeah, I get paid at the end of the month. And if that is still available at that price, and if this seller's on eBay, I just might buy it. There's Howie, Food Forest Permaculture in the house. I got the French cuisine going on tonight. As you can tell, I really enjoyed that entree. That soup is still pretty good even at room temperature. I got dark chocolate muesli in the bowl. Yeah, I will definitely have to look into that one. Because most of the time I've seen him for no lower than 150. I've also been wanting to get a hold of some fresh MCWs with some of the newer menus and the different packaging for the entrees. So instead of something that looks this color, you get the Mountain House Pro Pack, which you can actually zip closed after you pour the water in. Unlike the ones before, say like 2023, you couldn't zip those taller, skinnier bags after you put the water in. You just had to try to fold it and hope that it stays closed. You had to lean it against something, or if you happen to have some kind of a clip, that's okay, Waffles, you're still here. You're only late if you're catching replay, not while I'm still alive. But I'm glad you're here. I caught your masala short. That stuff looked pretty darn good. This salmon pate is some good stuff too. Yeah, that's that's about the average I've seen. Actually, I've seen some of those MCW cases for like 175. So that, nope, not this time. But even if I could get just a couple of the newer menus, I still think that would be awesome. I got Germs Emery Ration Kitty mug. Hold on my cocoa. Yeah, and that's probably the least expensive you can find them these days. But I'm definitely going to be looking out for some of these in the near future. As I said earlier, I normally don't do these breakfast things, but I wanted to go ahead and bring this one out tonight. I did it with hot water to melt the chocolate chips. They're dark chocolate. Spread that chocolate flavor all around. Yeah, some places they'll buy them from the site and then jack the price to try to get a profit off of them. But there are some MCW menus that I am definitely gonna miss. The seafood chowder and the turkey tetrazzini. Those are two of my favorite MCWs out of those that I've had. I'm bummed that those got kicked out of the lineup. But it is what it is. Yeah, I was happy to get another one of those a while back. I got it before Ramadan. Yeah, actually, it might have been right after because no, that one was before. I got that last one before Ramadan. And I got one of my favorite brown bags when I got my replacement for an MRE mug from Martinina. They sent me a corned beef hash. I don't know the year because it doesn't have a date code on the bag. And I got the Daft salmon paella. That's my favorite of the Daft rations that I've had. And I have the halal beef and barley stew, which I've already reviewed this year, so I'm not going to open that one up on camera. I think that one may either be for my own personal enjoyment or it may be a giveaway item. I don't know. But I've already got some giveaway stuff lined up for when I pass 1,500. And there are a few more things I would like to do for that. I'm a little bit closer, but I had one of my subscribers taken away after I hit 1474, and then I had one of those taken away. I hope that was just a bot that was taken away, not an actual person. Now, the corned beef one is not first generation brown bag, it is second. It has the menu number sideways. But I will pull that out. So it has a foreign emery sticker on it, but see, there is the 2 for the menu number. The printing is bigger than the first gen. It would not have had the menu number in, a big number on the side. It would just had it in with the rest of the text. It says accessory packet B. And the way they spelled Sapaco, they literally hyphenated the 3 syllables of the name instead of writing it all together like you would see it now. I think this was before they started putting date codes on it, or this just happened to miss it. Because I'm not finding a date code on here. Yeah. This corned beef hash is also Smokey's favorite brown bag. And after I got a hold of it, it became my favorite. In fact, I've had 3 of them. I think all in the 90s. Maybe one of them might have been in 89. One of them was compromised, so I was not able to eat that one. But the other 2 were perfect. And one of them, even the red packet Taster's Choice, was perfect. Well, 13 is not too bad. At least there's no minus. Let's see, either 81 or 82 Fahrenheit today. Is it the freeze-dried fruit? I don't think I've ever had orange freeze-dried fruit come out of any of these. I never had a freeze-dried corned beef hash. I've only had the wet pack. I had one of the experimental LRP menus that was in a brown bag that had a white label on it. And it was I think it was a beef and rice. I'd have to dig way back into my Ration playlist to look at that one, but I think that was one of those trial menus that probably never made it to full production. Some thought I probably paid a little too much for it, but I went for it anyway. I've never had, let's see, I've had the mixed fruit, the freeze-dried mixed fruit. I've had the pear and the peaches. And one brown bag, I forget which menu it was. Instead of being in a wrapping that is the same color as this, it was in a white wrapper like you would get from the RCW or Ration Cold Weather. And because of that, I never opened that one. I have that in one of my freeze-dried fruit buckets. Well, Waffle, speaking of the Indy 500, Caitlin Clark of the Indiana Fever was the Grand Marshal. Before she joined the Indiana Fever, she played for the Iowa Hawkeyes. She did not go to the Olympics because the Big Ten tournament and then the NCAA tournament, the Hawkeyes got booted out at, I think, Sweet 16. And then the Indiana Fever, the women's basketball, pro basketball starts in late spring, compared with the men's pro, which starts in the fall. So she didn't have too much downtime to really prepare herself for playing at the pro level. Of course, then she got injured, but she's back at it now. Yeah, so she was the Grand Marshal for that race. Yeah, I have those from the 2 Chinese rations that I got last year. And they both had the same bars in them, so I decided not to open those same again. I substituted other bars for my stash. But they are the longest life of those compressed food bars that I've seen. Their best buy date is like 2040 something. Ooh, I would love to get hold of a Jordanian ration. I think that'd be awesome. At one time I had seen Turkish rations reviewed, but only a few have done those. And they have some interesting items in there. The dates, this ration had dates but the box says milky dessert. See, here it says milky dessert, but I got dates instead. So something was substituted. But those dates were treated with something like, I forget what it was I was on them, but made them kind of sticky. It affected the flavor a little bit. But I still ate them. Yeah, they are, well, they're sealed in that can. Plus, they're treated with something to make them extra shiny. When they really don't need to be treated like that. If they did what the Jordanians do, or some other rations that may have dates, they're just in a bag. But I still ate those dates. They're just not my favorite. Yeah. In one of the other groups I'm in on Facebook, one of the guys was going to do a Kyle Busch inspired giveaway, but after he died, he decided to change it up and do something else. But yeah, he died too young. I'm not much into racing, although one of my second cousins, she and her husband are both into it. So they're probably a little sad right now because they probably watch any kind of races that they can. They do stock car on like local circuits, the smaller town tracks. I've never gotten into the MRA community on Reddit. I really don't look at Reddit a whole lot. I probably should. I should look into Reddit more. In fact, one I follow, but I hardly ever look at it. Apparently, I missed a giveaway. I got a message, but because it was listed in my spam, I never really looked at it, so I had no idea until it was like several months later. I decided to look in my messenger spam, and I thought, oh bugger. I told the guy, no, I haven't looked at that much. So that probably got that prize probably got sent out to someone else, but you know, I'm okay with that. I could probably pretty much drink this soup. Yeah, I should look at the MRE Reddit. With tomorrow being a holiday, I won't have much going on here. Although I may prep my pots for planting. I still have not done that yet. Well, with what Waffles has been sending out, he's probably got a few fewer than Emphal's. Because over in Europe, it's a lot easier to get some things than it is here. I just went and finished off my salmon pate. Huh. Odd you never got that one. I wonder if that might have been when when he was moving or had some other issues. My prize I got from Paul's gear review, that was delayed because the post office that he used to go to, they had closed up, and then he had to wait until the replacement one opened up farther away from him. Plus, there was other stuff going on that kind of got in the way, but I got it. This I opened up. Yeah, I've never tried to send any rations out of the country because I'm afraid that the intended recipient might have issues getting it in. Yeah, gotta be extra careful when you're sending stuff out of the country because you never know what could happen to it. I just put the last of the chocolate peanut spread into these last two of the chocolate chip biscuits. Yeah, when I first got into it, I was watching a Sticky Fingers 745. He hasn't put out any videos in a long time. I guess life got in the way. But he had a giveaway. I won an MRE. And I decided that I'm going to do it like all these others do it. And I'll eat it on camera. And I only had my 1983 Tupperware tray at the time. So I was first using the flameless ration heaters. But then I decided that I should probably start saving some of these. Yeah, I figured I'm at home. I don't need to use these. So I save them. And if they need a little salt to help them kick off, yeah, I'll throw a little in. Yeah, MREs and more, I've never heard of that one, so I don't know what that site is like. I don't know. I mean, I hope they're good when it comes to if some of their stuff gets rated. Uh, yeah, that's a bummer. I've opened up a few fresher ones that had stuff got busted, so I had a mess to clean up. And the one mystery box I got a few pouches of that instant pudding, that chocolate instant pudding powder. One of those got poked and some of that powder just went all over the inside of the box and I had to clean up a huge mess. Yeah, especially if you get some of the older trays. I have a bunch of 1966 mess kits on my watch list. One of these days I'm going to buy one of those. I picked 1966 since that was the year I was born. Some of the goodies in the soup just sunk to the bottom. That some of those foreign rations will have U.S. stuff in it. Like the Dutch ration, that one had a Bridgeford cinnamon bun. And some Norwegian Arctic field rations have had Bridgeford stuff in it. And of course, some Canadian rations you might get American peanut butter and jam or jelly. Or there might be some other American stuff in them. Well, I like that bread. I'm looking forward to getting into that can that's in my German ration. Yeah, you won't find any foreign stuff in any American ration, but you'll find U.S. stuff in foreign rations. I guess the foreign stuff isn't processed enough for U.S. government liking. Well, maybe because we're quirky enough. Thanks for dropping in, Waffles. You'll have to check out Waffles' channel. He does things a little different with the rations. He does sometimes, he'll take them on trips and he will spread it out over a number of days depending on what he happens to be doing. And he likes to have a little fun with some of them. But being a single person, I don't have to apologize to anybody. My family is just starting to catch on to the idea that I happen to be a prepper, and I'm not going to quit that. Yeah, despite tomorrow being a federal federal holiday here in the U.S., some people probably still have to get up early. I believe it's a holiday up in Canada, but it's a different one. Or it's just maybe what they call a bank holiday. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask a Canadian. What it actually is up there. I don't know if Howie, Food Forest Permaculture, is still in here. He could probably say what it is. Now there's a person up in London, Ontario that I do video chat with, and we communicate on Facebook, but I forgot to ask her what that day is. So we have no city bus service here tomorrow. No mail delivery. Banks closed. Other businesses are closed. Some naturally stay open all the time or every day regardless of the day. With a few exceptions. And speaking of days, not necessarily a holiday, but I found out yesterday that the White Eagle Multicultural Powwow Committee has been approved to set up a booth in the nonprofit section of the Des Moines Arts Festival the last weekend of June. So we applied on a long shot to see if we could get a spot. But we were accepted. So now we will be working hard at acquiring the supplies and getting flyers printed up to promote the powwow and what it stands for, the history behind the White Eagle Multicultural Powwow, and but yeah, we're all excited to be able to do that. So the last weekend in June here in Des Moines at the Gateway Park at the western end of the downtown area. So I have already put in the times that I am going to help out. Of course, Friday I go to the mosque, and then I told the others in our group chat that as soon as I'm done with the mosque, I'm going to haul-tail to the park and join up with the others, and then all day Saturday and all day Sunday. So that might interfere with my stream time Sunday, but I want to do this so bad. This will be a way for us to offer up kids crafts similar to what we use during the powwow itself, and we will have information on what the 4 colors that we use symbolize: white, red, yellow, and black. They are representative of the 4 races coming all together in a circle. And so what a couple of our members are going to do, they're going to go get a whole bunch of the pony beads in those specific colors and a whole bunch of pipe cleaners that kids will be able to put the beads on and bend them. It's easier to put beads on those and then you can bend them, as opposed to trying to use yarn or string. And then we will have little paper teepee kits. So those are the 2 crafts that we will be offering. And kids crafts is what I'm doing during the powwow itself. Although during downtime, if I can record part of one of the performances in the dancing area, then I will do that. And I told the person who runs the website and social media stuff that use my videos and my pictures on any promotional materials. So for the longer videos, I just give them the link to my YouTube, where I got a whole powwow playlist. So I put all of my videos in that, but the short clips I was able to upload to the messenger chat or to the Facebook page. But the longer ones that I can't upload, then I would just put in the link to the YouTube video. And then a couple of local, there's a local guy who works for one of the TV stations here. He comes and shoots video and pictures. He also loves to photograph birds. He especially loves woodpeckers and eagles. And then there's another local guy who likes to come and shoot video and pictures. And then they both share them with the powwow committee, or, share the links to the YouTube videos. Because one of them, the guy who works for a TV station, has his own YouTube channel where he will put some of his freelance stuff, just interviews at events that may not be what the TV station wants, but he still wants to do it and document certain things. So he's gone to the Meskwaki tribe and some other powwows or other indigenous events. He's gone to do some interviews and shoot video. Always done with respect for the culture, of course. So that's what I will be doing on the last weekend of June. So if that does affect my stream, I will definitely be tossing up a post ahead of time. Thanks for dropping in. Cold War Prepper does couple of different streams on his channel different times, and then he puts up other videos. He does non-fiction and fiction book discussions. He recently put up a short on one of the knives in his collection. And he does the Prepper Pantry hauls. He does his weekly, or I just do mine monthly. He's able to get some things that I am not. But he gets ideas out there, and I hope I get some ideas out there with some of my finds. Yeah, go check him out. The Survival Empire recently discovered his channel, so I subscribed. So I'll have to dig into some of your content later. It's good to see some other people getting in on the ration fund. There are a bunch that I would love to see come back doing it. I miss seeing their stuff. Some had to quit for health reasons or job reasons, or there have been a couple of them that I know used to do it, but then they died. And then others, maybe they just decided to get out of it for whatever reason. It'd be nice to see some of those who can come back into doing it. Love to see them come back into start putting up stuff on YouTube again. I would like to see Sean of who started the Ration Museum channel, who has an extensive collection, which a few of us have contributed to. Smokey sent some things to him. I sent some things to him. I sent him some of my military script from Japan that was in use after World War II. And it was basically a form of military currency that looked like some aspects of the local currency, but it had some different designations on it, and it was meant for soldiers to use either at the commissary or PX or whatever they choose to call it on that particular base. So I had some Japanese script notes, so I sent him a few of those, and I ended up buying a small lot of similar ones to replace what I'd sent to Sean, and I ended up getting one that I had not had before, so I have a few of those in my collection. So it's sort of ration related because you had to use it in a specific place. But unlike a ration stamp, you could use it for any qualifying item at that location. I have looked at the Polish ration stamps on eBay. Maybe one of these days I might pick up a few just to have a few examples of those in my collection of Polish stuff. Only time I had ever been to a commissary or PX was many years ago when I was a kid, and my maternal grandmother and her second husband were still alive and in good health, because he was a military vet my grandmother was allowed to go on to the Offutt Air Base and shop in the commissary either by herself or with him, because that is the perk of being a military spouse. You get some of the same benefits as the spouse who is actually in the military. So the one time we were visiting her, you know, and my step-grandpa in Omaha, we got to go to the PX on the Offutt Air Base, and that's the only place we went was the PX, and we got to check the place out. That was maybe like 8 or 9 at the time. But it was so cool just to be in that one small part of such a huge airbase. Of course, when you're a little kid, everything seems a lot bigger than it is when you're an adult. But both of them went there for their medical care. And then when he got sick enough where he had to go into a nursing home, he got his nursing home care paid for. And then she lived alone in the house until a few years after he died from Alzheimer's. But she still gets the Medicare, but she still has the VA health care as a secondary. Or she did until she died in August of 08. She had moved down to Arkansas with my parents after they retired in 06. She could still use her VA benefit. I just finished off that muesli. Yeah, my grandmother died from cancer in 08 in August, and then in October my dad got diagnosed with cancer, and then in November, on Veterans Day, was when cancer finally took him. My dad never served in the military. He was born in 41. So he was not quite old enough to go to to the Korean War and the Vietnam War. He was never drafted. But my step grandfather went there. He joined in World War II. He was in the army, but in the Vietnam War, he went back into the military, but in the Air Force. But my dad never served, but he had mad respect for those who did. We have other relatives who did serve at one time, and a cousin I've talked about who was one of the few women who got to be a fighter jet mechanic, and she spent all of her time in the Air Force down at the Eglin Air Base. She never went overseas. And I have a like third cousin who is in the Air Force. I don't know where he's at or what he's doing. But he wanted to do that, so that's what he did. And got some local friends here. I have camped with them. One, Redbird 491. She was in the Army. She had gone to Germany for a time. And then back here, she was in the National Guard for a time. But she did a lot of logistic stuff. And then there are a couple others who I haven't seen post up on YouTube for a while. One will do a video once in a while. Bearded CB82. He was in the Army. And Alan B. Pro was, I think he was in the Army. I'm not sure. I can't remember if he was or not. But a couple other locals. And then others who did not meet the qualifications to be in the military, but like my dad, have mad respect for those who did it and who are still in. Because of my vision issues, that prevented me from being able to do that. But I will still talk up those I know who were able to be in the U.S. military. Pumpkin is down to my left. She's just barely out of camera view. Now she's underneath my chair, silly cat. Yeah, sure, silly cat, Pumpkin. Yeah, you just got a glimpse of her tail. Yeah, I got a bit of a, probably about a 5 or 7 second lag between what's happening here and when it shows up on my tablet screen. Pumpkin! Pumpkin! It's on your little kitty mind! Pumpkin! I move my tray so she passes by. You might get a better glimpse of her when she's not going under my chair. Yeah, that's a silly little torty girl. Aren't you, Pumpkin? You my silly little torty girl? Are you my silly little torty girl? I hear that kitty motor. I hear that kitty motor, Pumpkin. Yeah, my dad probably got out of it because, in the 60s, maybe the job he had at the time got him out of the draft, or I don't know if it's because of he had young kids, or it just wasn't his time to get drafted. Yeah, Pumpkin is checking out the ration box, which I got sitting on top of my Instant Pot box. There's nothing in here for Kitty, Pumpkin. I think she figured out the ration box is too small for her to try to get in. That's right, Pumpkin. You can't get in that ration box. It's too small for you. It's too small for the pumpkin. Now she's over by a box I keep in front of the slider that is big enough she can get in it. I think she's bummed out that she can't get in this box. silly little girl. You silly little pumpkin. Silly little pumpkin. I don't know if you saw the post I put up earlier. I did not get to go see my mom today. She is still sick. She got sick 2 weeks ago. So we are going to try to do a belated Mother's Day thing with her today, but so I texted my oldest sister, say, are we still on for doing it, or is someone just going to pick up my gift bag and take it to her? But then she replied later that she was still sick, but she's going to go see a doctor on Tuesday. So I guess I hold on to her gift a little while longer. And I have a birthday gift for my great niece that I guess I'm going to be holding on to that one too. But yeah, my mom is 82. She's not in best of health. She has a bunch of different things going on. But one of my sisters will give her a ride to her regular doctor on Tuesday. So maybe he'll be able to figure out what's going on and what she can do about it. So I will find out then what's going on. Of course, Tuesday will be a busy day for me because for us Muslims, Tuesday is a day of Arafah, the day before Eid al-Adha. So it is a recommended day of fasting for Muslims who are not in Mecca in Saudi Arabia performing the Hajj rituals. They do not fast, but on the 3 days of the Eid holiday, one of those 3 days, those who either are physically capable of it, especially the head of household, can either personally slaughter an animal and divide the meat up, or they will give money to an organization that will do it on their behalf in another country through a charity that specifically does that sort of thing. But being that I cannot do that physically, I do not have the money to get a ride out to a farm, select an animal. But one year when I did have a little extra money, I gave it to another member of the mosque who combined that money with money from a couple other people and sent it to another country where the Qurbani, also known as Ujia, was done in that other country, and then all of the meat stayed there. So that's another way of doing it. A pumpkin knocked another box down. I have to find another location for it. It's one of my boxes of 5-gallon trash bags. But yeah, I will relocate that. But then Wednesday, the Eid holiday itself, in the morning I will go to the Eid prayer, and then, although I'm no longer a member, I'm still going to attend the monthly Transit Rider Advisory Committee meeting so I can get an update on the upcoming changes to the bus system here. Plus, I have some concerns that I've gotten from other bus riders that I want to pass on. So I will be doing that. But that'll probably be the extent of my day that day. I'll just come home from that and spend the rest of the day with my tortie girl. At Tuesday we will have a dinner at the mosque, so I'm going to go help set up for that because our kitchen is going to be worked on. We have taken it out of service until some additional repairs can be made. We still have some issues that we need to get taken care of. Of course, that all depends on donations and availability of parts. So the food will be catered. But I will go early just to make sure that the plates and utensils and stuff like that are put where they need to be. And we will have dates for people to break their fast with. Because traditionally that's what Muslims use for breaking their fast is you eat an odd number of dates, 1 or 3, It just has to be an odd number. And a little something to drink. And then you pray the sunset prayer, and then you eat dinner. So that's what we'll be doing on Tuesday. And with no bus service on Monday, if that were Monday, I would have to try to get someone to give me a ride over there. But tomorrow, I'm just going to be doing a little something on the deck, prepping my pots, figuring out what seeds I want to try to plant this time. It has been too cold, nights in the 40s, and because I don't get sun, the soil in my pots really doesn't get a chance to heat up like a garden or pots that get full sun. So that's why I haven't even planted anything yet. I don't start seeds in here because I don't have the space to do it. And with a very active cat like Pumpkin, I'm afraid she would try to mess things up. And I don't want that to happen, so I just direct sow everything. And if something doesn't come up, well, at least I tried. So that'll give me something to do tomorrow. I just finished off my orange mango drink that came from New Zealand. So all I have left is my dark cocoa. Guess I'm glad I decided to go with that because I did kind of a chocolate theme tonight. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think I'm going to go ahead and finish this off and call this one good. But raise my mug to all those who have served in the military in the past and who have given the ultimate sacrifice. To make sure that we can still have our freedom here. And I think I'm going to go ahead and call this one good. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me tonight, for checking out this 2022 pack RCIR Menu 5. I'm glad nothing got busted other than the box. I'm glad that the oriental salad can did not get busted up where I wouldn't be able to eat it. I would definitely recommend this menu if you can still find it. It's definitely worth it. Even though I got dates instead of the milky dessert, I'm still happy with everything that was in here. Anyway, thanks for watching and catch you on the flip side.